Well, hello there. Okay, I'm going to show you how I make my bulky singles when I add some silk to them and make them into a bulky single. Okay, so I'm not going to show you how I tore up this. And this is Norwegian Leicester wool, and for the simple reason that it will put fuzz everywhere. It is a pretty fuzzy type of yarn, or fiber, I mean. And it will make a big mess. Might get on my camera lens and everything else, so I'm not going to be tearing it here, but I will show you it just tears quite easy, and so I can separate it. But as it does that, it gets very, very messy, and so I can make it into the small strips. And in my other videos, I've showed you making the strips with those. And oh, I'm mixing it with mulberry silk, which is this one right here, and I've picked a golden type color, and that's what I'm going to be mixing it with. And I already have some strips right here ready to go, and I'm just going to make some of the mulberry silk strips for you so that you can see them. Okay, so I've got some mulberry silk here. And this is very, very easy to take the strips off. Oh, and I was going to show you what it looks like after I've spun it too. So this is what it's looking like. And it looks really nice. This is it with the mulberry silk mixed in and spun. And it looks really pretty. And I'll just maybe I'll put it around once more, and I will attach it on here. And then you can just see what it looks like. And what it's done is it's made some really nice bright patterns in here, and it's less fuzzy. And after I set it, then it will be nice and smooth, and you won't see much fuzz at all, and it'll be softer because it's quite a rough yarn too. I wanted it to be softer. So that's it after it's spun, and I've spun it into kind of a thinner bulky. Okay, so that's the yarn spun. And so this is the mulberry silk. Now this is quite easy to split up, and I want to do them very small, so we'll just look at this. This is the Norwegian Leicester wool, and as you can see, it's a really, really fuzzy wool. So you can kind of just put the fuzz down a little bit when you do the strips. And that's the thickness that I did it. Quite thin. I tore it into a thin strip. Okay, just a second, I have to adjust my camera. Okay, so here is the mulberry silk. So all I do with the mulberry silk is I look at it, and there's places it wants to fall apart anyway. And I look and see, is this thin enough? No, I'm just going to do it a little thinner, and then I just gently pull off a strip. And as I'm working with it, I go down with it and make sure that the strip is coming. Here it got a little bit tangled up. But if that happens, I can just do a smaller strip. And then this strip will fit perfectly with the littler piece that I have here. And then this has got quite messy as I stored it, so I'm just going to take off the messy piece. There we go. And then we have some, I'll use that later. I can do smaller strips. And so you just take a nice little part off it, the thickness you want, and it just comes really easy off. So it's really, really easy to add to strips. Then we add this one to this strip here. And for the thickness, I always check. I go like this, and I go, well, this is nice and thin. When it's spun, what's this going to be like? And it's nice and thin. So together, I can see they're going to spin up like this. So that tells me the size of the strips that I'm going to do for the thickness that I want. And the reason I like doing it this way is you'd have to carding it in otherwise, and it would take forever. And it's really a lot harder to get a nice bulky single. It takes a lot longer to do it with any kind of park and draft method or anything. So what I'm going to do is do another thin one here, and just bring it down. And see, this thin will be fine. It could be added to that one. and then I just spin them. So to spin them, I just make sure I start at the same length. So for this one, I'm going to start it like that. And then when I spin it, it's just going to spin down to this. So you can spin it on your drop spindle or any kind of spindle that you want to. You can use a machine as well. So I would just add it to what I had here. I just add it on and spin it up. And that's all there is to it. And what I usually do, because I really want to make sure that this made a really, really good joint, is I dip my fingers in water and I just felt it. I just put water on there and I just felt the join. And then when I do that, well, you should do it longer. You just keep rubbing it. And then you just have a nice join. You can't even tell where it's joined really. The spin came out right here, so I'm just going to unwind this a little bit and put the spin back in. And then I just spin it, and I have now a much longer piece. And so I just wrap that in. Okay, now when you're doing this, you can check. The silk you can see is nice and thin, but if you feel you're thicker anywhere, you can just gently pull it. It's really easy to do a little light drafting when they're this thin. I leave them they're fairly even, so I just leave them. If they get a little thicker and thinner, I actually like that look. But if you're a perfectionist, you certainly can wrap those a little bit to get them exactly even, but they do tear off fairly even. Okay, so that's all there is to getting this. And after I set this, I'm going to knit up a little bit. And I'll likely have that that's actually what you're probably seeing in the picture I'm going to use for this video. So you can have a look at that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I may add and edit on a piece where I have a finished product, or I may not, so this may be the end, but it will be then on the front picture. But it's really easy and nice to get just a nice little silky texture in here, and it spins up really, really fast like you saw, and it just feels really, really silky and shiny now. And it was a really rough yarn before. I wouldn't want that next to my skin really, but now I will. So it just made it a lot nicer. Okay, so I did want to show you just how lovely that the spun yarn is knitting up. Like, look at the shine. I hope you can see it and picking it up good enough, but it's beautiful now. It's soft. And it just looks gorgeous. I'm really happy with it. I did want to show you what it looks like here too, the yarn. Looks really, really nice. This is it stabilized now. Set. It's really, really beautiful yarn. Feels really good and soft. You can see it. I'll just kind of wind it on. See, it's just beautiful, beautiful yarn, and it's a really nice thin, bulky. Nice roving style. So I need to tell you how I set it. So what I did was I just usually just do a spin. So I just wrap it loosely so I can soak it. So I usually just wrap it around like this, all of the yarn I spun, just so it's fairly wide, and then I take that and soak it like that. Just makes it easy to put it in a small container to soak, and I put it in quite warm water, um, warm enough that it's almost hot, but not too hot for my hands. I make sure it's fully soaked and squeeze it. And then I fill up the glass with really cold water and put it in the cold water, and that felts it down again. So it swells up and then it felts down like this. And then it stays in that nice spin. And then I don't swap it or anything, but I mean, it comes out like this again. And then I wrap it around my arm and elbow so that it's wrapped bigger, so that I have them hanging quite wide like that. And there's a lot of them, and instead of swapping them, I just give them gentle tugs like this to give them the shock to help take the spin out. It works fine, but you can use any method you want. The important thing is the warm water and then putting it in the cold to felt it if you're going to use it as a bulky roving, and then you get a nice yarn like this that isn't curling up on itself. Oh, pretty nice. It's just really nice yarn. So I wanted to tell you about that, and I wanted to show you what it looks like and see how pretty it is. Like you wouldn't guess looking at this that this is how it knits up, but boy, it is nice, and it would crochet up just as nice too if you're a crocheter. So anyway, if you enjoy that and you want to do some bulky spins that are nice and they look nice as singles, then this is one way you can do it. And it's really easy to add in silk, and it's such a thin, I use such a thin amount, I'm going to be able to get a lot of yarn out of this and out of the silk. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, bye.